So this is the view from the bride's dressing room at the Queen Creek Botanical Gardens. And over here on this section, on this side, that's actually the English garden. Now, all those white things you're seeing right there is kale. That's actually a variety of kale. In front of the kale is alyssum. Now, most people don't realize that alyssum is actually a very edible plant. It's in the Brassica family. It's in the same family as your broccoli. It tastes a lot like broccoli. But the only concern would be is you have to make sure that you're eating it and you're growing it from a source that does not use systemic pesticides. So you can see some of the things we're growing out here. It's still winter, relatively speaking. This is part of the Japanese garden. You can see there's some more kales, a lot of Swiss chard, some broccoli already starting to flower, a lot of red kales, and we've got turmeric in there growing. We've got ginger in there growing. So a lot of cool stuff growing over there in that space. And that little pod down there, this is all food too. So there's actually mint. There's a couple varieties of sweet potatoes. We're just kind of testing things out here in the mill pond. And then that's yerba manza. So these are all floating trays that we've drilled 4-inch holes in. And from those 4-inch holes is where we've planted inside of those. We literally just put the liner pots inside of those and floated them out on the water. And the yerba manza, they kind of all grew together, making this big pod. And that's where most of our koi hang out. They hang out right underneath that pod most of the day. So there's 24 koi just kind of hiding out underneath that pod. So part of what I'm showing you here is really a big part of what we do with agriscaping. Here's another good example right outside the bride window here. So this is a hillside garden that we've done in a mosaic format. And so you can see on this, and it's a pretty steep incline. You can kind of see a little bit of the incline as we look a little bit more that way. You can see how steep that incline kind of is, such that we actually built this ladder system to be able to still maintain these gardens while they are growing on a hillside. So again, a lot of varieties of kale. We do sell a lot of kale, edible flowers, pansies, some other herbs and stuff we have in there too. And you can see the dianthus, petunias, some violas, a lot of great edible stuff all growing right here at Queen Creek Botanical Garden. So there's our daffy out there hanging out in the lake. That lake is also stocked with catfish and black crappie right now. And there's a cormorant next to our daffy, and that's not a bird I like to see out here. They eat their weight in fish every day. And there's well over 100,000 flathead minnows, which will help feed some of the bass that we'll be bringing in soon. And tilapia. Tilapia is also something we do as a summer crop. So I'll pan over there and you'll see a little bit more of a traditional type gardens for market farming. So the market farming area, as well as some of the more topiary spaces, which is our English garden. So that said, what do you guys think? So good question. I see a question that came up. How do we keep erosion at bay? So there's actually a geotextile fabric. You can kind of see some of it exposed at the very top there. And that geotextile fabric is what we have the main soil mass in that's holding the plants in their spots. And so that's connected to the hillside. And what we're doing is actually growing the roots down deep into that hillside in order for them to stay. Now, watering wise, each one of those cells has a 1/4-inch drip tubing that goes through each of those cells, and it's all connected at the ends. And so the water, it's a very light drip emitter that's going through the system. And then we're getting that to drive deeper into the hill by how we have them set up inside and how we plant them inside the hill. So that literally helps hold the whole hill together. And that's another reason why we also are planting more fruit trees, vetiver, lemongrass. Those are great hillside protectors because they got a great, wonderful root system that drives deep, but also dense. And anytime we harvest things from this hillside, we cut out, we do not rip out. So we never want to remove the roots. We want to leave the roots as part of the soil stabilizers so then we can grow continually on this space. Now, we can even go more vertical, which is what we did over here. This is a Flower Street urban garden system, but we went even more vertical in this section where we've got the terraced garden right there from ground up. I mean, that goes up about 8 feet tall, but the top tier is about at the 5-foot level or 6-foot level. And so all pretty much within reach. Any other questions before I go back inside on what you guys are seeing right now. This top part, we call it the Mill Creek Medicinal Garden. And we've got a lot of medicinal plants that we've just brought in that will be planted here soon. A lot of peach trees and stuff as well. On the back side of this hill, you'll see the rooftop of our Japanese house, where that's our bathrooms facility, but it also has a tea room. And really cool stuff we'll be working on back there in building the Japanese theme, and there's a whole cherry tree orchard off the back side of this hill that's still growing. A lot of these on the front side are mostly peach or interspecific, as well as varieties of mulberries. So you'll see some of those taller ones at the very top of the hill are actually mulberry, and those are more of an everbearing mulberry. And we'll be doing some cool displays about silkworms and how silkworms eat the mulberry leaves and turn them into silk. So we'll have a lot of cool little experiments for kids that they can learn a lot about how nature provides for them all the things they either wear, eat, or a lot of the medicines that they have as well.